What's up, guys? I'm Chase. I'm here with Buff Bagwell. We've got a special guest here today, Ranger Ross.
No, I'm not Ranger Ross. I'm Stevie Wonder today. I'm Stevie. Y'all can call me Stevie.
Play us a song, brother. Play us a song.
We've got Stevie with us today. Thank you so much for dropping in. We're all down here in Marietta, having a good time, catching up. So you guys have known each other for how long now?
I got a number in my head.
We got to see if it lines up.
See if. How long do you think you've known each other?
Since 1988.
So I ain't gonna do the math real quick. I said 35 years. So I think that's more like 38 probably. But how long is that? So 98.
Putting me on the spot now.
So 90. 90 is 34. So 35, 36 years.
Well, see, I'm glad you did the math because I went to North Cobb High School. No, I was out that one day we had math. That one day I was out.
So you're a Cobb County boy.
Yes.
Cobb County boy, two Cobb County boys, Sprayberry High School, Osborne. And so how old are you?
65.
65. You graduated North Cobb Warrior.
1977.
So in 1977, you graduate high school. And what's in line? What do you do? What do you want to do?
I wanted to wrestle.
Okay.
I wanted to wrestle. I mean, that was my goal since I was in the second grade. And I think I told you the story one time that when I was in the second grade, my teacher, they was asking everybody what you wanted to be. That would have been 1965, 66.
Right.
And they was asking everybody what they wanted to be. And firemen and astronauts was pretty big back then. Sure. And
still two pretty good ones, firemen for sure.
And I told them I wanted to be a wrestler. And my teacher told me, she pulled me to the side because the kids was laughing.
I was going to say, what did the kids do?
They was laughing. They were like, a wrestler, really?
But you were dead serious.
Yeah, I was dead serious.
Yeah, of course.
And she told me, when you say you want to do something, it's a dream. If you write it down, it becomes a goal. She made me write it down and put it where you can see it every day, and that'll be your goal. And I put that thing. Ever since then, that was my goal, was to be a wrestler. Wow. And people always say, what's your plan B? I didn't have a plan B. I was like one of those guys that when they come into war and they come in on the ships, they burn the ships. Because it's either we're going to sell it here,
it's done.
There's no plan B.
So you went into this no plan B, but so what, from second grade, you're going to be a wrestler, the service happens. You get in the service.
Yeah, but I wrestled in high school.
Okay, so take us through that.
I wrestled in high school at 98 pounds.
98 pounds.
And I didn't have to make weight.
So now, that's incredible. That's unbelievable, 98 pounds. So with your a freshman, 98 pounds?
98 pounds of freshman.
And how'd you do?
I did pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
That's a tough division.
That's scrappy.
That's right.
They're scrappy.
They're weighting down.
Yeah.
You're making weight barely because you're not trying to cut down.
Yeah.
You weigh 98.
So this is what happened is that there was guys running around the gym with plastic bags on, sweat, and I'm sitting there eating a Hershey bar because I didn't weigh 98.
Right.
And then when I started gaining a little weight and I got over 100 pounds, the coach wanted me to stay in the 98 pound. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, you trying to tell a guy that's this big to lose weight. So every Monday we would have a wrestle off. If you can beat that guy in that weight class on Monday, you got this position.
Okay.
So I tell the guy, I'll see you on Monday.
Right.
I'm not losing any weight. I'm right about that. So anyway, and then when I graduated from high school, I was only 143 pounds.
Okay.
And I never saw any 143 pound wrestler.
No.
And so I don't think Mike Jackson was wrestling.
I think he's about 160, and he's about 70. But action Mike Jackson.
I love that.
I love him too.
But anyway, so I knew I had to do something.
Right.
And so I saw these Army Rangers. I went to the recruiting office and I saw they was talking about these Army Rangers.
Right.
And they was talking about this is the best of the best, the toughest of the tough. And I saw these guys and they were just like, I was like, that's what I want to do. So I joined the Army Rangers to get the training, to gain some weight, get some knowledge, learn all of the stuff that I could to wrestle.
During all of this time, you're trained to be an athletic killer
Yes.
for the United States of America.
Yeah.
And during that time, you still are planning on being a wrestler.
Exactly.
Please continue. That's great.
So I enlisted for 4 years.
Right.
Okay. After 4 years, I still wasn't big enough.
What'd
So
you
I
weigh?
signed up.
What'd you weigh?
At 4 years, I think I was like 190.
Okay.
So
But your plan's working.
Yeah. So I re-enlisted for 4 more years. And after the 8 years, now I'm 225.
Love it.
So I'm 225 now. So I'm at a point now. You got 8 years in the military. You got all of this training. What you gonna do? You gonna stay in? If I stay in, I do 12 more years. I can retire, have a check for the rest of my life.
This is a big call.
Or you gonna chase your dream? Or you gonna chase your goal? So now I'm at a crossroad. I got to make a decision here.
What year is this again, Ranger?
This would be 1985.
And you're getting ready to make a decision
Yes.
whether to follow your dream or to go 4 more years to the United States of America.
Exactly.
And
I went to the wrestling match. They had a wrestling match. I was stationed in Savannah. Went to the wrestling matches. I go down there. I see Barry Windham Daddy standing out there.
like Jack Mulligan.
Like Jack Mulligan. I walked down and I told him I was in the Army. I'm getting ready to get out. I want to wrestle. And he told me to go talk to this guy over here, Pistol Pez Watley. I went over to talk to Pistol Pez. He told me about Thunderbolt Patterson was going to start a wrestling school up in Atlanta. He told me how to get a hold of him. He said, I don't have the phone number. We didn't have cell phone.
Well, no cell phone, for sure.
So he said that he owns a shoe store at some old national highways called Brass Slipper. So I came to Atlanta.
Thunderbolt Patterson owned.
Yeah, he owned a shoe store.
Right.
Because he had retired from wrestling.
South of Atlanta there.
So I come up and I drive down there to the Brass Slipper, walk in. He's in there. I told him who I was and what I wanted to do.
Were you a fan of Thunderbolt Patterson?
Oh my goodness.
So was he, at this stage, he's Thunderbolt Patterson.
Yeah, he was.
TV, all that.
You know, he was hot in Georgia.
Oh, he was one of the tops.
He was the man in Georgia, you know, when I was growing up.
I mean, Tommy Wildfire Rich and Thunderbolt Patterson, to me, were right there together. That's my memory.
Exactly. So when I went in and I met him and he told me, I told him that Pez said that you was going to stay. He said, yes, I'm thinking about doing that. I said, look, I'm in the Army. I got a few more months left in the Army before I get out. I said, you know, would you train me? He said, yes. But he didn't have a ring. He had a shoe store. In the back of the shoe store, he had a storage room, and he had put down some mats in there, and he said he'll train me. So I go back to the Army. I take 30-day vacation and come back up here and train with him for 30 days. And at the end of
during that 30 days, you still had the chance, if it wasn't, let's say you didn't like it. Let's say you just said the heck with that. You could have did it 4 more years.
I could have enlisted for 4 more years.
So what happens in the 30 days?
So the 30 days, I come up, I stayed at home. As a matter of fact, I was working with my cousin doing construction work during the day.
And going to wrestling.
Oh
my God.
and so I'm at home, I got to do something.
Sure.
You know? So anyway, and he trained me. And after that, I went back to the Army. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, right quick, trained you like work an arm, work a headlock, lock up?
Yes.
Wow.
Never took a bump.
That's what I'm saying. You probably didn't fall. No reason to fall yet.
No.
You're trying to learn the basics.
I just learned the basics.
During that time, were you getting excited or were you kind of like, this ain't that fun?
No.
You're still gung ho.
I'm still gung ho.
Okay, so the 30 days goes up, and then what do you do?
I go back to the Army, and then I got another month or so in the Army, and I told him, I said, okay, I'm out of here. And so now I'm taking a big leap,
brother. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but go ahead. This is huge.
I came back up. Once I got out, I came and Thunderbolt trained me a little bit, but his hip was messed up. And he was going to have hip surgery.
Right.
He had hip replacement. So he told me, he said, you're ready. Okay, so I go down to the Omni, Crockett Promotion was wrestling at the Army. I went down, I talked to David Crockett. I saw him standing there. And David Crockett said, yeah. He said, he told somebody to go back and get Nelson Royal. Nelson Royal was on the card, and he came up and he said, you know, hey, this guy wants to, you know, come. And Nelson told me about his school up in Morrisville. So I'm out of the Army, so I start working at a textile plant in Agua, where I worked at before I went into the Army. So I came back, I worked in there, and I drove up, took a day off, drove up to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Jim Crockett's promotion office. I go in and say, hey, look, I want to wrestle. And they said, well, we have a guy up in North Carolina that look at all of our talent.
Right.
And they told me how to get there. Morrisville's about 50 miles in the north.
Yes, it is.
I drove up there, and Nelson Royal had a beautiful place up there, had a big barn with a ring in it. Todd Champion was there.
Big Todd.
And Gene Anderson's son. I can't remember his name. But anyway, they put me in there with Todd Champion. We worked, and we did all this. So Nelson
So
Royal.
what year is this? Did you go to Mooresville and?
This would have been 86.
86, okay.
86.
86.
So Nelson Royal called the office and said, hey, look, this kid's ready. So I drive back down to the office. I go to the office and I said, hey, you know, am I going to be able to get a job here? So I'm talking to J.J. Dillon. J.J. Dillon comes out and he's talking to me. And he
now, would this be NWA or WCW?
No, it wasn't WCW.
So
it was Jim Crockett Promotion.
Jim Crockett.
NWA.
NWA, right.
Yeah. And JJ told me, he said, well, you know, we already have a black guy.
Can't have two.
Can't have two. So I was like,
not 1986.
So I was like, okay.
Is this something that you encountered a lot
No,
at that stage?
no, that was the only time.
All the time.
That was the only time.
What was your reply?
I was like, well,
Yeah.
you know, I can't argue with them because
Right.
I don't know
I am
nothing.
black.
I don't understand the business. Don't know the business.
Sure.
So I didn't want to be disrespectful or anything.
So
Didn't argue.
how'd you exit a statement like we don't need another black guy? How did
Yeah.
you exit that cleanly?
He said, we got this guy that we're working with right now. So we already have a
And
black
who
guy.
was the black guy?
His name was Joe Coltrane. I never met him. I just saw him on the TV.
Okay.
And he ended up breaking a leg or something, and he was done.
Right.
But anyway, so I drive back to Atlanta.
Right.
Back to work. I was like, man, I don't come too far. I can't stop now.
No, you're in.
I just, you know, they always told me that anytime you hear a no, you're one step closer to a yes.
That's a great saying.
So,
That's a fantastic saying.
so I left and I came back and I heard about Ted Allen.
Ted Allen.
Ted Allen lived in Cartersville, and they said, yeah, he's got a ring in his front yard. I drove up there, met Ted Allen. Ted put me in the ring, and I worked with Jimmy Power and his brother Berger, and we worked out a little bit, and he took me, introduced
Any
me.
Randy Roses yet or anything like that? You
No.
met? Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm thinking time-wise.
So he told me, he said, look, I want you to meet Jody, because Jody had started.
Jody Hamilton?
Yes.
I love it.
And Ted was working for him. So they was having a show up in White, Georgia.
Why, Georgia?
Just right past Cartersville.
Yes, it is.
So I go there, and they bring me in the dressing room. Jody was sitting there, and I introduced myself.
What's your name, kid?
Hey, kid. Hey, love that guy.
Give me a Jody invitation.
Hey, kid, look who's gonna sabadon, boom, boom, boom.
I mean, he didn't say nothing. He just humble.
Go, kid.
Oh man, it's great seeing
So-
you on that go position.
So he said, okay. He said, I have a wrestling school down in Lovejoy, Georgia. I want you to come down there on Tuesday at this time. So I drove down there. He put me in the ring with Mike Atkins, who became the referee for WCW.
Sure did. That
So
was his family.
Mike was married to Jody's daughter.
I remember he was family when
Yeah.
he came in. I remember.
Yeah. So anyway, they put me in, let me work with him, and all of their students with it. He had a big school.
Right.
So, you know, they wouldn't let me do anything to, you know, make their student look
bad.
you know.
Right.
And so we just kind of you know,
Best
just worked
around
around
with
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jody said, okay, I want you to be in Cobb Civic Center on Sunday. We're doing a live TV taping.
So that was your first introduction to a live taping. So
My first match was live on TV. Now, here's the thing. You and I was talking about this, about a new guy coming in.
Yes.
And we talking about the friction,
Yes.
having a little bit of heat.
Yes.
So the guy that I was supposed to work with, his name was Ali Bey, the Turk. Okay.
He was a young, good-looking black guy in shape.
He
Black.
Yeah. He found out he was going to work with me, and he had to put me up. He didn't come.
Didn't want to do it.
He no show.
He no show for. Let's just be honest.
They told
Had
me
to put over a black guy.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking. Or
Yeah.
younger, better looking, jealousy, friction.
Yeah. Just the
Wow.
same stuff you
Same
experienced.
stuff.
So Ted Allen said, "I'll work with him." Ted Allen was the mass nightmare. Yeah, nightmare number 1, and Billy Starr was not nightmare number 2. Okay, so Ted come up with this idea. Ted he was great. He was brilliant.
He was great.
He was great.
God
He was
bless his
brilliant. Yes, and he come up with this idea. He said, "Look, you go out, do an interview, and then we're going to come out and say, you know, you're a tin soldier and this and that.
Right.
You want some combat, get in the ring, and I'll show you some combat."
Right.
And then, so I go out there to do an interview, and here they come out.
First time on TV ever.
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 And they come out and they surround me. "You want some combat?" I said, "Well, I can't take on both of you." Ted said, "I'll take him on." And me and Ted get in the ring, and we do this thing, and he put me
He
over.
puts you over. He loses to you at your first match ever. Ted Allen was so professional that he knew you were money, and he did what was supposed to be done in this business, and he did the right thing by putting you over to get you going.
Listen,
Ted
he
Allen's
pushed
special.
me over, and we made money ever since.
So
Because Ted
That's how
saw
you do it.
down the road. He saw
Absolutely.
down the road. Now, I want to ask you something
Okay.
while I'm thinking about it.
Please.
I don't mean to get off on the story,
no,
but I didn't mind putting somebody over if there was a reason or angle or a gimmick to do something to progress
yes,
the company.
yes,
Because I looked at wrestling, and a lot of wrestlers don't look at it this way. We are a team.
yes.
But most wrestlers look at themselves as individual, not as better for the company.
Most do.
Most do.
So your question?
My question was, did you ever have to put somebody over just for no reason?
It's a great question. And in the business, anybody that could listen to us and hear us and say that we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, 6-figure business, and that we complain about who wins or loses is idiotic. But when you're in it and everybody else is complaining, then you're like, wait a minute, the squeaky wheel usually gets oiled. To answer your question, like you were saying, our rule, and like Sting, Lex, they taught me, the rule, professional rule was if it makes sense, if it's for a reason, like you're saying, like one time I had to put some guys over, I put a guy over, I can't remember who it was, it was Scotty, to put the Steiners back together.
Yeah.
At that junction, Buff Bagwell really didn't need to lose unless it made sense. Putting the Steiner brothers back together, that makes sense. Lay me down and pin me. But there is times I got beat. This one I went to Dusty. I said, Dusty, this is not right. I started getting beat by guys that were, Dan Spivey was one of them. He was at WCW. He beat me. He went to the WWF. He came back and beat me again. I said, Dusty, guys that are leaving and coming back are beating me again. And it was a couple guys, big Hercules. Hercules was at WCW. He beat me. He left, came back, and beat me with my own finish. That's a joke. You've heard, right?
Yeah.
He'll beat you with your own finish. That's a joke. The joke happened to me. And I was like, Dusty, come on, man. So he goes, kid, they'll forget about all of it. I promise. And Dusty held his promise. He was right. They did forget. But at that junction, there was a couple of times making $100,000 a year. A lot of money then.
A lot of money,
And
yeah.
a lot of money now. And I grabbed my bag to leave. Because that's how much it bothered me. Because when you leave that room, you get out in the streets. I saw you get beat again. I saw you lose. And you know, it wears on you, man. It does wear on you. You know, they say it's fake wrestling. We know it's not fake. It's our livelihood. It's what we do for a living. If you build a pool, a guy one time told me, he said, "All that stuff you do is fake." I said, "What do you do for a living?" He goes, "I build pools." I go, "Is it fake?" He went, "No, it isn't." I said, "That's what I do for a living, brother, if you don't mind." And it's just this is what we do for a living. But really it is. It's putting somebody over is, as you know, is a big deal.
Yeah.
It gets bigger than it is. So the golden rule at the end of Nitro area was, and Eric told it to us. He goes, if you're going to get beat for a third consecutive time, speak up. We get lost, guys. We got 80, 90 guys. You know, we don't kind of keep up who wins and loses. So for us, help us out a little bit. If you're losing for a third consecutive time, speak up. So we would wait, and that way you don't get heat. It's not too soon, but the third time you'd say, "Hey guys, it's the third time, man, in a row.
Yeah.
What's going on? Am I getting fired?" Or so that was kind of the golden rule. And when Eric did that speech, it kind of was a much better place, but for a reason.
Well, my thing was this, is that I did not protect my brand.
Now, why didn't you protect your brand? Why did you
Because
not know?
because I wanted to be a team player. I never argued. I never disputed anything. I never went to them about anything. Whatever they said, they would come back and they would tell me what they wanted me to do. I would go do it.
Do you think that was a wrong move to make now that you look back?
Yes.
Okay, what would you have done different?
Good question. I would have been a little bit more boisterous. I would have protected my brand.
Yes.
Because you have to understand.
It was a great brand.
My brand is a real brand.
Yes.
You
were a Ranger, bro.
I was an Army Ranger.
USA.
And I'm not bragging. I don't mind putting somebody over.
Yes.
If it meant something.
Right.
But some of the things they had me doing, it made no sense whatsoever.
It was killing you off.
And it was killing me off.
Yeah.
And then when they didn't renew my contract, I didn't have any bargaining chip.
Nothing, because you killed you. You not took care of your brand.
Yeah. I didn't have any equity in my
in your stock.
Yeah, my stock. I didn't have enough.
Which was a Ranger.
Exactly.
So on your first match, you get put over, looking good.
Then we started an angle with those. They gave me a partner, Don Sanders, and we went called in.
There's Don Sanders and Ranger Ross.
Yeah, against the Mass Nightmare. Yeah,
absolutely.
And against the Mass Nightmare.
I got a great question. When did you learn how wonderful USA was? When did you learn that?
I'm gonna tell you how good this was.
Please.
That was a guy named Nick Busick.
Big bully with a mustache.
Okay.
First match ever in Brazelton.
Listen, he wasn't that good of a worker.
No.
But he spoke Russian.
I didn't know that.
He spoke Russian.
Big bully Busick.
And me and him worked I was, young in the business, and they had brought him, he had stopped working with him. He was a policeman. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
He was a
What
policeman.
county?
South
somewhere?
Somewhere close to Atlanta. Somewhere.
Okay.
He was a cop.
Oh, we know. I know that.
And the nicest guy, but he spoke Russian. I'm gonna tell you how I figured out how good this gimmick was. He was wrestling as a Russian, and he would get in the ring and do the Russian stuff and start speaking Russian.
That's great.
He and I got in the ring. We were in the ring for probably 12 to 13 minutes.
And haven't touched.
Never touched each other. And the people was right there
to go.
And I was like, and I would get this USA thing going, and he would do the Russian thing, and the people was right there. And when we finally locked up, the place exploded.
Do you remember like the first tackle? It was just like,
yeah,
that kind of crowd. Isn't that great?
Yeah. And so I realized
USA.
I said, man, it depends on who you're working with, and you gotta work the angle
together.
Yeah. And when they brought me in the WCW to work with Iron Sheik, loved Iron Sheik, but he was up in age.
Right.
he couldn't hardly move.
Right.
But we started working the gimmick, you
The
know,
USA.
the USA and all.
Iran. And
Yeah.
wow, it's a no-brainer. It's just a gimmick. It's a wonderful gimmick. See, I did the Star and Stripes thing.
Yeah.
And that USA chant was wonderful. But I know that you were the first one I ever see do the real. I know there was several probably.
Yeah.
That I really remember that got it over was, you know, the flag, and really a real Ranger, which everybody knew, which is great, absolutely phenomenal. That's great stuff. I love
So it was good when you had somebody.
Ric Flair always told me, "You're only as good as who you're working."
That is true.
And it's the truth, brother. If the person you're working isn't involved in the dance you're trying to create, then it's going to be a flop.
Yeah.
And so, and that, like you said, Nick made a good partner on the dance.
You know, as I go through and I look back on the people that I work with, and who the one person that I really wanted to work with that I didn't get to work with was Nikita Koloff.
Oh, gosh, that would have been
that guy. He played that. He looked the part.
Voice.
He had the
look,
and he quit wrestling. Soon as I got there, he done quit. I'm like, no.
The sickle, man. He had the sickle.
Oh God, man.
Oh,
that guy we could have. Oh man.
Okay, so top of the world. Your dream has come true. You wrestled on your first match ever is on TV. What happens the first after when that rolls? They don't renew your contract. Was that 1 year?
Yes.
What did they say the reason for not renewing your contract was?
Well, it actually went. The first contract went for. It expired in January, but they kept me until I think I stayed until May.
Okay.
Without a contract, but they just kept on
me, of course.
And they came in and said, "Hey, you know, we're making some changes, and we're not going to renew your contract." And I'm saying, I just built a brand new house.
Wow.
I just built it, just moved in it. I had been in my house probably 2 months or 3 months.
What year is this?
This would have been 1990.
And what's your next move from leaving the office of being released from the NWA?
They told me when I was on the road. They had
You stayed and finished out.
I finished out.
Of course you did.
Yeah, they told me that my contract is going to end like the end of I think they gave me a month's notice.
Right.
And they told me, and I was like, they sent us, what's his name? He was the old promoter,
Jim Barnett.
There you go. I was on the road, and he came in there. You ever met Jim Barnett?
The rumor is that Jim loved me. I don't know the story on it, but Missy, Jim was a homosexual, and a known homosexual, and supposedly that was my ticket at WCW, but never met the guy, didn't know who he was. But he was. I saw him from a distance once, and he was a strange looking fellow.
Yeah, he was an old looking guy. His
Yeah.
glasses was about that thick.
Like
when he ready to read something, he's like this.
It really looked like almost a homeless kind of guy.
Yeah, he was
filthy rich.
Yeah,
he was a big part of
yeah
wrestling, not just WWF, not WWF.
Yeah.
Wrestling is my understanding.
So he was the one that come in and told me,
Jim
Ranger, we just not going to renew your contract, and we're going in a different direction. And then that's when I realized I didn't protect my brand.
So what do you say? I mean, you just start shaking hands.
Look, I said, I just
built a house.
He said, well, I'm sorry, and this and that. And then I was like, oh my goodness. So anyway, I left from there and got a friend of mine, and he got me over into Japan. I come back from Japan. And
so you wrestled in Japan?
Yeah. And then the guy.
New Japan or all Japan?
Well, Baba,
okay.
Yeah. So when I got back, they had started Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. North Carolina. Yes. And we had a great crew up there, buddy.
And that would be what year that happened? 90?
That would be 90.
90, okay. So 91. So are you hearing about WCW at this stage? Are you hearing the words WCW at 90?
No, the WCW had bought it in 1989.
It was 89? I
Yeah.
thought it was 90. Okay, so you knew about WCW, so you weren't trying to get here?
No, I was in WCW.
Okay, you're in WCW this time.
I was in WCW.
So Jim Arnett's who let you go
Yeah.
from WCW.
WCW.
Got it. Okay.
So when I came in, George Scott was, he was the CEO.
CEO. Chief
And
executive.
he was the one that brought me in.
Yeah.
And laid everything out for me, what he's gonna do. And then 2 months later, he get fired. Because the guys, they were saying that he was old and his ideas, and all of the guys
Right.
formed a coup and
They
they got him kicked out. And then that's when my demise started. But they would build me up, put me on TV, build me up, and I would get all these wins. And then they would have some guy that they wanted to push for me to
Put over.
Yeah. And then they'll build me back up, and then so it was a roller coaster.
Is this when the booking committee?
Oh, the booking committee.
Not to set you off.
Yes,
Good one.
the booking committee.
So tell us.
It was horrible. It was a horrible time. The morale was as low as it had ever been.
And this is who again?
On the booking committee, you had
The
Eddie,
booking committee.
you had Eddie Gilbert, Ric Flair. I'm trying to think.
Jody, maybe?
Jody, I think, was on it. Jim Ross might have been on it, and what's his name? I don't know if Jim Cornette was on it or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he was on, but it was quite Kevin Sullivan.
Sullivan.
And
For those that don't know, the booking committee, they all have to agree on who's going to go over.
no,
the direction.
they don't have to go. Like,
Tell us.
this is from my understanding, this is what they do. They would take their guy, you're their guy.
Sure.
They're gonna do, like, I might be Kevin Sullivan. I'm taking you and I'm gonna make you look good. So I got you, and you.
On you're taken care of.
You taking care of, and this guy's taking care of these guys over here.
Okay.
And they were taking care of themselves more than anything else. And that's why
Because they're also wrestlers too.
they also wrestlers. And,
WCW's demise is what I thought.
and then you had Eddie Gilbert. I mean, here's a guy, love Eddie Gilbert to death. Me and him used to ride together, but he was little bitty guy.
Yeah.
And he would go out there and beat everybody up.
Beat everybody up. Giant killer.
Yeah. But
He had a seat on the booking committee.
because he had booking committee.
It's the booking committee.
So, and then you had Ric Flair and
Take care of his guys.
take care of his guy.
Him and his guys. And I love Dusty, but Dusty was the same way. He had his guys.
Yeah,
His son, me.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of the Dusty's umbrella.
yeah,
But that's what WCW was.
Yeah.
And the WWF was, Vince McMahon was the boss.
yeah,
And there wasn't the Indians running around without a chief.
Yeah.
Is how you
yeah.
see it.
That's it. That's it.
And that's what I think was our blame. And we just did a Russo thing the other day. I'm a huge fan of. I like Vince Russo. Nothing against him personally, but he did sit us all down and tell us all. When he came in on his first day of it was October 3rd, 1999. He sat us down. And he said, "The problem with WCW is everybody that runs the company puts themselves on TV and they try to get themselves over. WCW's done that for years, and we just proved it. Okay, in less than a month, less than a year, he was world heavyweight champion. Hey. Booking committee.
Booking committee.
Okay, so a year now, you go to Japan, and this is still your dream. You love wrestling.
Yeah.
So what's in it for Ranger Ross? What's he do now?
So when I come back from Japan, George Scott called me, and I go to North Carolina. So I wrestled up there for Mid-Atlantic for like 6 months, and man, what a crew we had! Steamboat, because he had left WCW.
Okay.
We had
Probably Arn.
no
Arn
Arn
was WCW.
Arn was WCW. We had Steamboat. We had Dean Malenko. We had the Nasty Boys.
Wow.
We had Ken Shamrock.
Oh wow. Okay.
Ken
So
Shamrock.
good crew.
Yeah.
Good crew.
We had
Doing good crowds.
oh yeah, we were doing good, and so we had that going.
6 months happens, and then what happens in 6 months?
The guy with the money decided to pull out.
Typical wrestling thing.
Yeah, he pulls out, and just so happens, as soon as he pulled out, WCW calls me back.
Year. What year?
90.
1990. So in 90 they bring you in, and then this is where I really think you get the big, because WCW TV. Now you got the red, white, blue.
No,
No. So what happens?
they brought me in because they wanted to do this thing that I had done in New Orleans in the Superdome. Did an Australian repel from the top. Yeah.
So this is, they bring you in, they tell you this.
They tell me they want me to do one in the CNN Center because the Gulf War was going on. They brought me in to do one. They was going to have a wrestling in the CNN Center.
South
in the foyer.
Tower, in the foyer.
In the
where
foyer.
WCW was, the South
Yeah.
Tower. In the main lobby,
Yes,
wrestling ring.
they were going to have a wrestling.
Okay.
And they pulled out because of security reasons.
You know.
But they gave me a contract, and I think I worked maybe once or twice
Really?
And how long?
in 6 months.
Typical WCW, right? I mean, that's what they did. Hey.
Wow.
Booking
committee. I love it.
Where did you repel down from? Because you were
And the
to my
Superdome,
understanding, was the Superdome.
yeah, I did it from the scoreboard. It had a gondola, a catwalk around it.
So they
And
would
I-
access it and do the
Yeah,
maintenance.
so you had to go to the top of the Superdome,
Sure.
which was, I'm standing there touching the very top of the
dome,
Superdome.
the middle.
It had a big donut ring and all of these cables coming hooked onto it. I'm touching it, and it's 300 feet from there straight to the ground.
Let me tell you, buddy, I've looked at 100 feet from there, and I said no to the guy. And he talked me into doing it because he pushed me. I went looking. 100 feet's a lot, and 300 is what he did. My
Yeah.
question is, who did you trust to do that? Does this and I go before
Oh
you?
no!
Oh my God.
This is what happened. Oh, this is a great story here.
And at this point, you're the only person that's done this?
Yes.
This is
No, we did a demonstration when I was in the Army as a ranger.
But
As a
at the
ranger.
super
Superdome,
wrestlers.
No, wrestler. I was first.
at Superdome, nobody. So
No, nobody's done this at the Superdome.
did they come and tell you they want them? You do
No,
it.
no. I went to them.
Okay.
I went to them. They said we're going to be wrestling.
So your idea.
Yeah.
So this goes to Sting and everything.
Yeah.
So they come. They said we're going to wrestle at the Superdome.
Okay.
So I go to Jim Hurd. I said, Jim Hurd, Mr. Hurd. I said, listen. I said I could do a repel, Australian repel, with one hand holding the rope, the other one holding the flag, and the other one.
And he said, yes.
No.
Oh,
He
no.
said, no, we can't do. He said, we can't do that. He said,
You're talking about without a harness.
Yeah, I'm just talking about with a rope tied around my waist.
Wow, no harness.
No, I didn't have no harness. No, I had a rope tied
A
over.
real ranger.
You're a little crazy.
Yeah, I know. So yeah,
Wow.
so I had a rope tied around my waist with
You slip, you die.
square knot, 2 half hitches, and I had a snap link, just a regular snap link.
S hook.
Yeah, not an S hook, just a D ring.
Wow.
It's a D ring with a little thing.
Little flipper.
Yeah,
That's all you got.
and that's all I got. I got a rope tied around my
Okay.
waist with a square knot.
But Herb says
2 half.
no. So
He says no. He said, Ranger, he said, we can't do that. He said the insurance policy alone would be $1 million. And I said, how convinced him. I said, Mr. Hurd, I said, this is going to be live on TV. I said, if I mess up and I hit the ground and I'm flat on day old beer, I said, the ratings are going to go through the roof. He said, wait a minute.
let's do it.
He calls the 16th floor, all the lawyers up there. He said, is there any way we can get a insurance policy for Ranger to do a repel? And oh, we can? Oh, really? Okay. He said, now what do you need?
And what'd you say?
I told him, I said, I need 2 Army Rangers and I need some blue water static repel rope. He said, Go get whatever you need. So I went to this.
So you got to call two buddies.
I drove down to Columbus, Georgia. Got it. I got 2 Army Ranger buddies. I said, hey, look, I need y'all to come and go to New Orleans with me on this day. And WCW is going to pay. They're going to pay. They're going to fly you up. Yeah. So I went to the brigade quartermaster and I bought 600 foot of static blue water repel rope. And so I got them and I got all of that stuff and I met them at the airport in Atlanta. They flew from Columbus to here. Then we flew to New Orleans. They rented the Superdome the day before.
Millions of dollars.
For us to come,
just
to practice and see how it would work. So we get there, they open the Superdome, we go in, they have the riggers, that do, hang all the lights and stuff. And
the Superdome riggers.
Yes. The Superdome.
And you guys got to communicate with people you don't know and communicate with them.
All we need them to do is show us how to get up there.
And they do that.
And my guys are going to do the rest. We're going to do the rest. Not them. They're not touching anything.
No, because you don't want them to touch it.
No.
Okay,
So it's an adventure to get to the top of the Superdome.
I can only imagine.
You get in the elevator, you go up to the 5th floor, you get off, you go into a room, and there's ladder. You go up a ladder, up the side of the wall of the Superdome. You get all the way up to where the cloth part is. You walk on a catwalk. It zigzags as it inclines all the way up to the apex of the Superdome. It's a catwalk you're walking on. It's got little rails on it. And we zigzag all the way up to the top of the Superdome. I'm standing there touching the top of the Superdome.
And it's 300 to the ground. 300
to the ground. But there's a scoreboard right underneath it. The scoreboard was down about 75 feet.
Okay.
So now we got the rigger, he shows where to tie on that, and they had a rope there, and we rappelled.
I'm getting nervous just you telling me about it. So what are you doing at this? You're fine? Totally fine.
I'm fine.
This is nothing. This is nothing to you.
I'm
nervous right now. I'm nervous right now. Go ahead.
So anyway, we rappelled down to the scoreboard. We land on the catwalk by the scoreboard.
So you say we, you mean
all 3 of us.
At one time?
Yeah, I would go first. One rope.
I need a little more info here. Where's this rope at?
This rope is tied to the top of the Superdome.
Who tied it?
That was their rope.
But y'all didn't do some kind of metal check.
We just
you had to trust them.
Yeah, we made a Swiss Army seat. We had all of us had sling ropes.
So we made the Swiss Army seat, the cross seat.
Yeah, with a D-ring and hooked it on, and we rappelled down to the scoreboard. We had to rappel about 75 feet. Now we're on the scoreboard. Now we're 200.
Is it sturdy?
The scoreboard was as big as a house.
Oh wow! So you're safe.
Yeah, it's big as a house.
Okay.
You know there's big screens all the way around.
Right.
So we rappelled down to that, and so now we're at 225 feet.
Okay.
So we get down to that, and one of my buddies, we got our own rope. We brought our own rope. So we drop it down, and one of my buddies get on it, and he rappels down. Okay, he gets down. He's my safety on the ground.
Okay.
So we get it, and I tie the rope around my waist with a D-ring, and we hook it on. And WCW had sent some of the directors and producers there.
Just to check it out.
No, they wanted to see how it looked.
See how it looked, right? Check it out.
And I'm standing on the scoreboard, and I'm leaning out. I see, y'all ready?
Ready?
Because there's nobody in the Superdome.
Right. There's an empty space, right?
Empty. The whole floor is empty. Yeah. And so I said, you guys ready? And they're like, yeah. I said, all right, here I go. And I just jump. So I got the rope tied around here. It's in my hand. I have on a glove. And I just jump out like this, and I just come straight down. When I got about probably 20 feet from the ground, I stopped, and then the stretch, and I stood up on the ground, on the floor.
A free fall, basically.
Yes. And they looked at me, they said,
is this on camera?
No. This is the day before. They said, you are crazy. I said, yeah, okay. And they said,
I don't know.
So they said, okay, we're going to put a spotlight here. We're going to put a light here. We'll shoot it this way. We have a camera this way.
Could you tell it was excitement on what you have done? Do you realize how big it was what you have done?
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah. So the day of the show, after we get down, we get back to the hotel. We took my rope and it was almost burned in two.
Did you hear that? The rope was almost.
The rope that I had tied around my waist holding me, it was almost, because when I put on the brakes, it presses up against it, and it almost burned the rope almost in half. And we're in the hotel, and we like, oh snap! What are we gonna do?
Snap!
We're like, what are we gonna do? So we figured we can get some electrical tape. So we went to the store. We bought some electrical tape. We got a new rope, and we tied it around there. Where it's gonna be at right here, we wrapped it with electrical tape.
600 foot?
No, just a rope that's tied around my waist.
Gotcha. So you save that part. Okay.
That's the part that's most important.
So the first repel Sting ever did, they come in the back and they say, hey, Sting, come out and check out what we're going to do here. This is probably 75 feet, at a civic center somewhere, maybe 100, but it's not 300 by no means.
Yeah.
I'd say 75 feet. And as we're walking to the ring, it's me, Sting, and a guy named Ellis Edwards. And Ellis Edwards was our stunt director. And I think he's still in the business doing stunt director stuff. And he's going up to the nice house, going to work and everything. And they got a 220 whatever pound for Stinger sandbag. And as we're walking to the ring, the sandbag free falls and busts everywhere. And Sting goes, Ellis, that can't be good. And he's like, guys. And so after they clean the sand up, then Sting has got to go. They convinced Sting that they'd fix whatever the problem was. And once I saw what it was, the rope was coming up out of an eave and down to a forklift that some enhancement guy
Gonna back it up.
back it and forward up when Sting's life's on that. It's on the line. But it's crazy. So, but nobody thought of that. So you thought of this idea. Now this had to be huge for your career here for a minute or two.
Yeah.
So who did you wrestle at the Superdome?
The Iron Sheik.
And was that the main event?
No.
Who was the main event?
Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
Okay, Sting.
Steamboat, they were doing the best 2 out of 3 falls.
Okay.
So
Clash of Champions.
this was it was the Raging Cajun Clash of Champions.
Okay.
So it would have been April the 2nd, I think, 1989.
Wow. So
1989.
wow. I just forgot about them being there 89.
Yeah, that's when it was, 89. So the day of the show, me and my buddy, one of them said, we had to get with that rigger and we go all the way up, all the way
How
back.
long does this take to get all the way through all the rigging?
Catwalks.
Catwalk, it'd take you about 30 minutes
to get there.
Just
Yeah.
get in position.
just get in position. So
But you got wrestling gear on and all that.
yeah, I had my wrestling gear on
And the flag.
and the flag, and I had my buddy. We had a little backpack. We had some food in it
Some food, drink.
because we got there an hour
So
before the show.
you're really being a ranger here.
Yeah,
Because you got to go there before the crowd gets in.
yeah, and so we already up there before they let the first person
What about the
in.
bathroom? Jug?
Didn't have one. Didn't even think about it.
Oh my God.
So I was good. So we sat up there. We ate some snacks and watched all the people come in. And
It's kind of fun, probably.
yeah, it was.
It's
And then
entertaining.
I'm the 5th match after the Road Warriors. This one, Teddy Long turns heel. I'm watching everything from up here. So anyway,
Are you starting to get a little bit nervous?
no.
No, not nervous at all.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so play it out. So your 5th match.
So
Who's on before you?
the Road Warriors.
And you're watching the match.
I'm watching Road
But get
Warriors.
ready. Get
The
your
Road
notes right
Warriors.
here.
The Road Warriors against Dr. Death and somebody else. And
Gordy? Maybe Gordy?
No, it wasn't Gordy.
Okay.
And Teddy Long. I think it might have been Mike Rotunda.
There you go, Rotunda.
And yeah, I think the Varsity Club.
Yeah, Varsity Club.
So anyway, Teddy Long, they pushed, and Teddy Long just stood there. And when the Road Warriors get him down, Teddy Long just stood there, wouldn't even count. And then Dr. Death and them do something, got him down. Teddy went 1, 2, 3, and that's when they switched to.
I love it.
So people got hot.
Yes.
And then he became a manager after that.
I love
He
it.
was the referee. But anyway, so I'm up there and I know I'm the next match. So we get up, we get hooked up, and the ring is right
Does he
here.
come out first and you're second?
No, I'm coming first.
So first,
I'm coming first. I'm gonna land probably about 15 feet from the ring. It's a
In the aisle.
So anyway, my buddy gets to.
But wait a second, I need to hear. So music.
Yeah.
So TV, lights, camera, action. You wait for your song.
I'm waiting on my song.
You hear your song start, and
I'm standing there waiting on the spotlight. I'm standing there leaning out, and they playing the music. K-song, my army song. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, yes.
dun, 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 dun. So I hear the music. I'm waiting for the spotlight because they got there.
that's what they told you.
They
Wait
go.
for the spotlight.
No spotlight. So finally, it's about halfway through the song. I told my buddy, I said, I'm going. And so when I jump and I start coming down, people was down, they like this, they start scattering. You could hear people screaming, ah! And they jumping out of the way, and I'm coming down.
But
And
you're coming fast.
I'm coming fast. And American
This is
flag,
crazy.
and I hit the thing, and I stop, get down, and I walk, and my buddy pulls the rope out, just walk right to the ring, wave the American flag.
The crowd's going crazy.
The crowd's going crazy. I get in the ring.
USA all that.
And then the Iron Sheik comes. And when the Iron Sheik, because we delayed because I've been up there
Of
waiting.
course.
So when Sheik gets to the ring, the referee come up, he said, okay, it's time to go home. We didn't even hit the
It
intro.
was the finish.
I give the Iron Sheik a combat kick.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get on, and Rick Morgan's gonna come in with a pipe, a flagpole.
She goes over.
And no, I pin him. Well, I'm on top of him, and he hits me with the pole. And then they pick me up and start putting the boots to me.
Sure.
Junkyard Dog runs down,
Oh my God.
slides in the ring, start going. Then me and the Junkyard, we beat them up and they slide out.
I love it. And the crowd's going
That
crazy.
crowd was going crazy.
USA, hands up, all that. That's great stuff.
But that's not the best part of the story.
Tell me.
Here's the best part of the story. I come down and I go in the back and I change clothes, come back out. All of the formal heavyweight champions are there. They had a special place for them.
In the audience.
Yes, they were Gene Kaninsky, Luthez. All of these wrestlers that had been heavyweight champion. I mean, it was like 6 of them. And I walk over and I meet Luthez. Luthez said, this is Luthez's first words to me. You're crazy.
I love it.
He said, you're crazy. I said, thank you.
Well, you are for this. This is nuts.
Okay, after that, I walk out. Ric Flair and Steamboat's going to wrestle. So I take a shower, go out there, and sit in the audience. Nobody knows who I am. I'm sitting there with people, and I'm watching this 1-hour match, sitting in the audience.
That is fantastic. And nobody goes, hey, Charlie.
Nobody knew who I was.
That's great.
Because I just put on some civilian clothes
Sure.
and just came out there and just.
That was actually a blessing in disguise.
It was.
You knew you had to sign a bunch of autographs. You could just sit there and enjoy the match.
I enjoyed it. I'd sit there and you look at that match. They call it the greatest match of all time.
It was the hour one, right?
It's 1 hour.
Yeah, Steamboat.
I was sitting there watching it in the audience at the Superdome.
1989.
Wow. That was the coolest thing. I was like, who's going to believe this?
Questions, Rick? What do you got?
Let's dive into some of the questions people have.
Let's
here.
do it, man. I love
All
you,
right,
bro. Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much. This is great. I just love it.
Wow.
So really, man, I mean, Sting, you were the first one to ever do this rebellion thing, you know?
Yeah.
I remember the New Orleans thing. I was in the room with Sting. It was a big deal. I think he said it was 350, and I don't know where
350 where?
feet for the dome.
It's 300.
And he was nervous about this. You know,
Yeah.
Bro, that's 300 feet.
Yeah.
It's a long way, brother. So, so he was real nervous about that one, Ranger. But that right there, you know, that's big, brother. That's huge.
Well, you know, the anything over 50 feet is called the dead zone. If you fall from 50 feet,
You're dead.
You could pretty much cancel Christmas.
You're done.
You can cancel Christmas.
So I did a bungee jump, and it was 100 feet. From here to here, 100 feet is nothing. I get up there and look down, and I said, and I got the gear on to bungee jump and all that. And I said, I'm not doing it. There's no way. The guy said, look, man, you already paid. You're up here. I said, okay. So he goes, I'll push you. And I said, all right. He goes, on 3. I said, all right. He goes, 1. And I went, you start. 100 feet up here is a long ways. Congratulations.
That's a bungee jump.
Yeah.
Bungee jump. It's not me free falling.
Right.
So questions here.
Yes, we got one for Ranger, Iceman Parsons here. What did you think of your feud with Iceman Parsons in UWF?
Never wrestled Iceman Parsons. Never been in UWF.
Never been in UWF. All right. And Mark just ran out. He will be right back, and we'll answer those questions there. Iceman Parsons. Duct tape and disco. Good questions. Are you related to Steve Harvey?
Now, I'm going to tell you a great story about that.
Because he's down here too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Atlanta.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I went to, every year they have the foster kids up in Dalton, Georgia.
Okay.
They bring kids in, I think, from 5 or 7 counties, and they have a summer camp for them. And so my cousin is one of the directors up there, and he wanted me to come speak to the kids. And he told me, he said, look, he said, do you want to go on before or after Miss America? Miss America is going to speak. I said, please put me on before her.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to follow her, Miss America?
Right.
So I get there, and they're at a camp. It's at a big gymnasium. So I go and I put on my suit because I don't know what I'm speaking to the kids.
Sure.
Foster kids. Probably about 200 or 250 of them. I don't know.
That's a lot, though.
It was a lot. They was in the stand. So when I get there, my cousin meet me, and he brings me in, and we on the far side of the gym. So we step in the gym. I'm dressed in a suit. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy from the Army. He was a sergeant major. He was a speaker in front of me. He was speaking to the kids. And the kids see me, and they start pointing. They're like, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, they know who Ranger Ross is around here.
Yes.
I said, yeah, I got this. And so at this time, they're getting a little heated, and they're not paying this guy any attention. So I'm feeling bad.
Now you're done.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So when he finished speaking, the director got up and said, look, we got about 5 minutes before the next speaker. I want y'all to go ahead and take a bathroom break, get you some water. I want you back in your seat at such and such time. All right, go. All 200 some kids, they come running right at, I'm standing on the other side of the gym. They running right at me. I'm like, well, I don't have anywhere to go.
Nowhere. I'm
standing there, and they run, and they get close to me, and they stop, and they go, oh, man, we thought you was Steve Harvey.
That's great. That's great. So somebody, what did they say about Steve Harvey? Are you related to Steve? I love it. That's great.
Buff, will you ever wrestle a final match?
That's a great question. And I can answer it. I started physical therapy day on my knee. It was day 1, and I'm thinking in about a month I'll be able to answer that question. It's just according to how my physical therapy goes, but I think I'll be able to do a final match, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do what I thought I could with this knee and like have another little run. This is not possible. My age is possible with my knee. I don't think it's going to be possible, but a final match, I do think there's a chance.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
Tell me.
I saw the film of you wrestling a while ago.
Mm.
You think you could top that?
Nope. So don't do it.
Don't do it.
Then don't do it.
I'm going to tell you why. Because
that's what they remember.
People can overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
I remember one time going to see this girl, and some friends came over. I'm like, I'm getting tired. And they just keep talking. They overstay their welcome.
Overstay the welcome.
Overstay the welcome. I look at Muhammad Ali when he was fighting Larry Holmes.
Yeah.
Larry Holmes didn't want to hurt him. Larry Holmes was hitting him. He was telling the referee, come stop it.
Yeah.
because he didn't want to hurt him.
Right.
Muhammad Ali overstayed
Overstayed
his
is welcome.
I saw Ric Flair,
Yeah, we see this a lot.
and Ric Flair, it was horrible. He overstayed his welcome.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not telling you to do it, not to do it, but I just saw you on that thing right there, and that was fantastic.
Yes. Thank
If
you.
you can't top that,
Then why do it? That's a great advice. So let me answer your question. No. No, you're not going to see a final match because Ranger Ross is correct.
well,
I hope to be on TV again, but it won't be a final match.
Well, I can tell you this: my mind says that I can do it,
Yeah.
but my body is like, you know what? I'm everybody.
Well,
look at me.
why can't you though? I mean, do you really think your body is? You can't do it. I can see you doing everything right now. Why do you think you can't do it?
Because you ever see a duck going across the pond?
Yeah.
He looks smooth on the top, but he's kicking like the devil underneath.
Right.
I look good on the outside, my inside going, help!
Inside going like this.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. But there's a country word that I use. It sounds like one word, but it's actually two words called used to could.
Used to could.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, I was at the gym
Used to
the other
could.
day, and I'm working out with 135 pounds. The guy said, how much can you bench press? I said, 135 pounds. He said, well, you look like you could do 400. I said, well,
Used to could.
I used to could.
I like that. I'm going to start using that. Used to could.
Used to could.
Ranger, we got one for you here, and this one is move that. What made you want to get into wrestling? 'Cause you said that was what you wanted to do from a young age. You wrote it down.
Because when I was growing up, wrestling used to come on, and it was a big thing. It would come on like Saturday night.
Yeah.
And everybody would watch wrestling, and then we would try to duplicate what they were doing or replicate what they were doing.
Do you remember who you saw?
Oh my goodness! Back then, yeah,
Who?
There was a lot of good wrestlers.
Who do you remember that you like? When I think back, it's Dusty Rhodes, Tommy Rich, and Ranger Ross.
Oh,
That's names that I recollect and remember. Who do you remember seeing?
Les Thornton.
Les Thornton.
Les
That's a big
Thornton.
name.
He was from England, and they said he was a man of 1,000 holes.
I remember Les Thornton.
Whatever you get him in, there was a counter for it. This guy could work his body. He reminds me of what's the English guy name?
Steve Regal.
Steve Regal.
Yes.
That guy could work.
Yes, he could. He's one of the best.
That guy could work.
One of the best.
Now you take Steve Regal and put him back 40 years ago.
And you got Les Thornton.
You got Les
I
Thornton.
love it.
Les Thornton was he was smooth with it.
I love it.
I love, like, like I was telling you, I don't watch this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I was listening to these people. Everybody was talking about who they would put on their Mount Rushmore as a wrestler.
That's a good one. I like that question. It's tough. It's tough, brother.
All of the guys I would
Four
put
or
on,
five. How many are there?
Four on the Mount Rushmore.
all of the
It's
guys
tough.
that I would put on there, most people never heard of. Sure. They was work. I was more into working, and that was something I was
Like Luthez, you know?
Yeah.
Like Luthez is a great worker.
I loved watching people work, and that's what really focused. When I was training Ted Allen, and let me tell you about Ted Allen. He trained me. He trained Arn Anderson.
He's got a really big.
He trained the Big Boss Man,
Okay.
and he trained Tony Zane, Mr. Atlanta.
Yes.
So
Same voice.
this guy, when he said something, he knew what he was talking
And he
about.
was so nice and so professional to this whole life with Ted Allen, such a great guy.
Ted took me. We would go to his house and we would watch film
And learn.
and learn. And there was a film of what's his name?
But you would watch the film.
Dickie Steinborn.
His time.
Dick Steinborn against Tommy Siegler.
Okay.
That was our go-to.
And that's what y'all watch to learn.
We would watch that, and he said, "Watch this."
Watch how he does this. Watch
And
how he takes this.
VHS.
Yeah,
And he
of
would
course.
rewind it back. Now watch this. Watch how they do this.
Yes.
And that's the greatest match I've ever seen. in my
And
life.
that's how you learn, what you learn from watching.
But most people never heard of
Did you
it.
make the mistake I made and try to bring guys while you were training to learn with you and then go, this is crazy, I'm never coming back?
No.
But I did that twice. I was trying to find a partner or somebody to do it with me. And they would do it for about an hour and they go, man, I'm out of here. I think this is ridiculous. So I saw a pretty good question. This one here, yeah. So you may not have ever heard this story, but so it's early 91, September of 91 is when I signed with WCW. So late 91 or early 92, I'm in the dressing rooms and no, I don't know anybody. I'm the rookie. And I can just tell nobody likes me. I'm younger. And I can just tell it was a fish out of the pond, man. It was crazy. So I'm in the locker room. And I picked what I thought was the least locker room favorite, and it was the A locker room. So Sting walks in, and so when I start seeing Sting and then the Steiners, I start thinking, oh my God, so I was kind of moving to the shower area, trying to get out of everybody's way and thinking, I'm just going to end up getting beat up by one of these Steiner brothers for sure. And then I watched them hog tie Disco Inferno and attempt, and I think get it in, a Sharpie into his rectum. And it was just it was really, Disco could have pressed charges for sure. But they hog tied him. And when I saw this hog tying Sharpie going on, I just, as quiet as I could, I got my bags and I got out of that locker room. And I was like, oh my God, because guess who's next? Me. And I was like, I'm out of here, brother. That's a good one. Little Rock, Arkansas was where that was.
Wow.
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
that is crazy.
Yes.
All right, let's see.
You're not going to believe
Got
this.
that.
Tell me.
I never got rid.
Well, you were such a nice guy. You think that's what it's from? Did you ever give somebody a rib?
No.
I just did a rib story talking about what ribs were to people and ribs we play on people and things like that. And I was telling Chase this. One of the worst ribs, maybe you can tell yours, one of the worst ribs I ever saw was Davey Boy Smith put pee into a 3cc syringe and he injected it into the bottom of Big Van Vader's toothpaste. And when you make an injection hole with a syringe, toothpaste ain't coming out that hole.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that day. And for the next 2 years, we would laugh every time Vader brushed his teeth. And he'd go, why do y'all laugh every time I brush my teeth? And we just went, oh my God, if you only knew. So that was to me the best, craziest. The Canadian boys kind of ribbed on the square.
Yeah.
Rib where it left a dent. It hurt. It wasn't like a funny, it was more like, whoa, man, really? That's how the Canadian boys did it. What was your worst rib you ever saw?
Well, Tommy Rich used to mess with my partner. His name was Don Sanders. We call him Donut. Tommy Rich used to rib him all the time. One day we was up in Jasper, Georgia, LOJ somewhere up there.
Right.
Tommy Rich went to the ring. And when Tommy, he always tells us when he go home, he drops his bag, his wife dumps it out and washes his stuff and put it in because we was working probably
5 days a week.
5 days a week at least.
Guarantee it.
So he would just dump his bag and his wife would get it and wash his stuff, pack it back up and pack his bag.
Right.
So Tommy had been ribbing this poor guy and Don got him back. Tommy went to the ring. Don Sanders got a condom, undid it, got some Joy dishwashing liquid, put it in there because it's white, inside the condom, and tied it up in a knot and stuck it into Tommy's bag.
He dumped it out.
So when Tommy goes home, his wife dumps it out. There's a condom tied up with some stuff.
That's great. That is the definition of a rib.
She was going to kill him.
Of course.
Yeah, but he never messed with him anymore.
That's right. Nobody messed with the nasty boys in my run because they were the rivers that left a dent.
Yeah.
Wow.
What we got?
Ranger, thoughts on Ted Ross?
I don't know who that is.
Don't know who it is. All right. I don't know who it is either.
I never heard of Ted Ross.
How much to see a buff do one more blockbuster? A
You
lot.
know what?
What is a blockbuster?
So Blockbuster is my finishing move.
The one
when I flip over.
Flip over. Yeah, okay.
That's called the Blockbuster. And it makes me, being an old timer now, it makes me feel good to see the young kids doing that. Because it gets used a lot. And they don't call it the buff Blockbuster, but they call it the Blockbuster, And there's a couple WWE boys that do it and a few AEW guys, but It's the finish of Street Profits. It's their finish they use. He puts them on his shoulder, and the other boy flips off with a blockbuster.
Now, I've seen these younger guys wrestling.
It's crazy.
I was in Vegas.
Wow. For us. So yeah,
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And they had wrestling matches. These guys did 15 different high
Flips
spot
and moves and
flips.
pops.
I'm like, how you?
What's
What's
the
the
reason for
finish?
that?
I'm like, what's going to be
And
finished?
they roll.
Yeah,
They roll them up.
I'm like, how are you going to do a finish after all of this stuff? You got to pull out a shotgun and shoot him.
Well, they're gonna do 15 false finishes first. And then
Yeah.
And
then
so,
roll one.
so what I'm saying is they would. I think I've seen them do that
Right.
as a spot.
Right. Nowadays, I'm young enough in this business still that I remember Jake going to the booking committee.
Booking committee.
I remember Jake going to the booking committee and saying, "Guys, you can't use my DDT for a high spot." And it was a big deal because everybody wanted to use the DDT because they'd give a DDT and they'd kick out.
Yeah.
And then they win by a roll up. You can't do that, but they did and they still do. And it's crazy how they do that. But it's wrong. It's not the same thing we're used to, but it's just, now 10 guys are waiting for a 140-pound guy to jump off of them and they all fall down. It's just, it doesn't make sense as much as
Psychology.
Psychology is totally gone.
Yes.
Got one from John here. Goldberg Undertaker at Crown Jewel is a perfect example of overstaying your welcome. Do you agree? Did you guys see that?
No.
I haven't seen any wrestling.
This was a couple years back.
So they wrestled.
Well, this
was it? How was the match?
So Goldberg was concussed when he came out. So he did the headbutt to the door like he used to do to get
Right.
psyched up, and he knocked himself out
What?
before he went out.
Who's ever told this story?
I'm sure it's
He was really
concussed, not knocked out.
And he woke up, and they woke him up and goes in the
I mean,
ring.
luckily he has the entrance that he has. At what's that take? 5-6 minutes to
Right,
get out there.
Right.
But then he's
Bleeding?
out of it. I think he always had a little gash.
Right.
He
Always
would do
kind
that.
of beat up right there.
But then he overshot the spear into the turnbuckle, hits his head on the post, busted open, knocks out again in the ring. Now they still have to do the match. So we'll have to watch it sometime.
Wow. So I would say, yeah, that's overstaying your welcome.
Overstaying your welcome.
I would call it that. Yes.
Wow.
It was a mess. But then he did the jackknife at the end.
He did get it in.
Barely, but he
Jackhammer.
dropped him on his head. It's a tough watch.
Wow. Oh, so he didn't do it well. And that's something to keep in mind. You're doing Undertaker, big man, huge man.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Buff,
Wow.
do you watch WCW when you were in NWO, Hollywood, Black and White? Did you watch? Did you watch WCW back then while you were filming it?
No, I mean, I'll see stuff now that I'll go, man, that looks really good. What was that? Or
Right.
what was that? But no is the question to be answered. But a lot of times when it replayed, we went up from 8 to 10,
Yeah.
and then from 10 to 12, we replayed our show. And sometimes if we were on early, and it was the Marriott or the hotel was close, you could make it to see your match. It was
Especially
fun.
for the main event. Something
Right,
like that.
yeah, if your main event, something. But still, see, if your main event, then you're still time to get there still. So it had to be a good situation, whether it was first and you're on first again
Sure.
on the replay. So it didn't really matter if you're first or last. It mattered if the hotel was close. But there was a few times that you could make it to see the replay, and that was a blast to see something that was, especially had a good match or something. And during that time, I was really trying to be really lean and in shape. So I wanted to see if it's like a bodybuilding show for me. I wanted to be as lean and ripped as I could. So there was weeks I was critiquing myself, just like y'all would do, looking at Les Thornton and looking at those matches. And you could learn. I would watch and learn from me, but it was a lot of fun doing that for sure.
We got some for Ranger here, but let me ask, while we're on this, any good Bischoff stories? We've done a few here on the
We
channel.
have. Do you know Eric at all?
I met him, but
That's it.
he wasn't the.
He wasn't the boss.
No, he was.
Just like the magazine guy.
He was a magazine guy.
Yeah,
I just
right.
met
He
him
was.
like that, but never as the boss.
Yes.
Any Iron Sheik stories? Because he was quite a character.
It was a good one.
I'm being good.
It was a good one.
The Iron Sheik. Okay. We're wrestling in Dayton, Ohio. Jody Hamilton was the road agent. So Jody had come out and sat in the audience. He He's on the floor, but he's back probably about 15 rows.
Wait a minute though. Is Jody on the booking committee? Is he?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a match with the Iron Sheik. Before the match, Iron Sheik, him and Buzz Sawyer are back there working out.
Doing the thing?
No, they're doing the
walking, right? Okay.
Yeah, and they do this thing where they pop shoulders.
Oh, doing this thing?
Yeah,
I've seen that, but never done it.
And they were doing this, and they've been doing this they've been working out for 30 minutes an hour.
That's great.
So it's time to go wrestle. And Sheik put all of this baby oil on. He put baby oil all over him. And so I go out in the ring, and I'm in the ring, and Sheik comes out, and Teddy Long is the referee.
Right.
So me and Sheik are doing the spot, and I hook him, gonna do a hip toss, and I went like this, and he just slides right off, and he goes down head first. Boom! He hits the floor. Oh my God! And Teddy Long is back in the corner. He's covered his face. Teddy is laughing so hard. Jody is laying across 3 chairs back there, laughing.
Oh God!
And then,
brother, what you doing to me, brother?
No. So when we finish, I go back in the dressing room. You go back and you can meet him. So he goes back before me, and I'm going around this way, and I can hear Sheik in there. That Ranger Ross, he's a jabroni. He almost killed the Iron Sheik. If it wasn't for my massive 23-inch neck, I'd be dead now.
That is no exaggeration, Dal. He talks about the Iron Sheik like in third party. But like I would do that as a joke in a wrestling promo, like Buff Daddy. But it was real to him. He was he's a jabroni. He hurt the Iron Sheik. He didn't hurt me. He hurt the Iron Sheik. You know, he was crazy. Man.
It was his 23-inch massive 23-inch neck that saved him.
Yes.
And I said, Sheik, brother, you got all of this stuff on. You take your own ball. Yeah, you're right, Ranger. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I won't put so much on next time.
I love it. Oh yeah.
It was Ranger Ross and WCW. Yeah, so you were NWA and then changed over to WCW.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you came back as well.
Yeah, I was in WCW. I wasn't in the NWA.
Okay.
I was in WCW.
Okay.
Right when they bought, I got there.
Like Bill, Jim Hurd would have been the boss. Is that right?
Yes.
And then, because I met Jim Hurd once in '91, and then I never saw him again. And then it was the Crockett's they sold, and then Turner was involved. It seemed like from that point.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of condolences for Steve Bagwell too.
Yeah, thank everybody out there for that. So my old man passed away October 12th.
I'm sorry to hear
Thank you so much. He was hurting. He was already in hospice. But man, it was a legend, bro. I mean, he was the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Yeah.
Brother. I mean, what you see here is what my old man was. He was a leader. He was successful, self-made millionaire with the lumber business, NHRA Hall of Famer, National Hot Rod Association Hall of Famer. Just a really great man. We lost a legend. He was a legend. In Marietta for sure, and just a good man. So he's with Mom, man. They probably do it together up there.
God bless you,
thank you.
You know, I knew your dad.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You knew the whole family, right?
Yeah, I knew the whole. Oh yeah, I knew it. Well, I come to see him in the hospital. He's sitting there at a broken neck.
Yeah.
And got a memory like an elephant.
Yes, I do.
Oh, I know.
I'm sitting there. He was telling me stuff. I'm like, how do you remember all of that? He's in there with his neck broke. I think your teeth was knocked out. And he just spotting off all of this stuff. I was like, dude.
Yes.
Every time I tell somebody about Mark, I go, man, that guy got a memory like a
Tell him what you've done a couple times by checking.
Oh, I've checked the dates. He'll say April 22nd, 98. I'll just be over here just checking because you want to make it as
Factual.
close to it as possible.
Channel.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's spot on.
It's crazy.
But it helps for when you have to Google stuff and find photos and stuff. 'Cause I just type in the date, and I know that's going to be right.
It's pretty close.
Close. if it's not perfect, it's usually 7 days off or something like that. So he's at least in the same couple weeks.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have here? Buff, who's your favorite opponent or
Man.
match you remember most?
It's a great question, but it's a great question, but it's almost impossible to answer. I'm going to ask Ranger the same question.
Yeah.
So the one that always pops out to me that I stick with, God, there's so many matches over the years, but 1993, me and Too Cold Scorpio came out as champions. For some reason, I'm a 5-time World Tag Team champion, but for some reason, they beat us and got the belts back pretty quick always. but I was 5 times, but this time we got to come out as champs. And it's against the Nasty Boys, and they were big at this time. They just came from the WWF with a big run. And Missy Hyatt.
I was just going to say, was Missy with them?
Missy was the manager, which got me in the business.
Sure.
And Teddy was our manager. So it's 7 people on the thing we talked about working together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be 7 people because of the ref. You got 7 people involved to pull this thing off called a tag team wrestling match. And brother, we did. 1993 Halloween Havoc, one of the best matches I've ever been in from beginning to end. Both managers were involved. Everything worked out perfectly and great match, but we lost. And it was a great match though. So what's your best match? Do you have? Is it too hard for you, or do you have one?
No, I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I got a chance to work with Bob Orton Jr.
Yes. Wow. So Orton. So Randy Orton's father. Is that right?
Yes.
Randy Orton's father.
Cowboy.
Cowboy Bob Orton.
Man, that guy was
What
like
city?
it was in Calhoun,
Georgia?
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Red Bud Elementary School,
Oh, my
whatever
goodness.
it was. And he just came in for this one shot, and he and I worked together. I'm telling you, man, that was like riding in a Cadillac.
Wasn't it?
Man, you
The
take
difference.
these guys, they look like they're killing you, and the whole time they're just barely touching
The
you.
Barbarian and Ming were the two most that they could just like teddy bears, but they could just kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Too, you know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that would be but it wasn't videotape.
Well, of course not.
No,
Right.
no.
Best match ever.
Yeah, best match ever.
That's always how it goes. Ranger, can you tell us anything about your military career?
Yeah, I got a chance to go on actual combat mission. My first encounter was the rescue mission in Iran that failed.
With Jimmy Carter. You were part of that?
Yeah.
The helicopters that wrecked and
Yeah. It wasn't my fault.
No,
Okay,
but you're on
I'll
that.
slap you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on that mission.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened.
Okay. The problem with the mission was that you had too many. You have
Was it like WCW? Was it the booking committee? Was that the problem?
Pretty much.
It usually is.
Here's the thing: so nothing has happened since Vietnam. Vietnam left a sour taste in everybody's mouth.
Sure.
Okay, 58,000 people got killed for what?
Nothing.
Exactly. And so we haven't had any major conflicts since then. So they kidnapped they took over the
hostages.
embassy.
So that is right.
So they had 53 hostages over in Iran, and it happened on November the 4th, 1979.
Wow.
So, and they had them in the embassy. So they formulated a plan for us to go in and get the hostages out. And what happened was that you had too many branches of service. They use this kind of the recruiting thing. The Navy SEALs went in and got them. The Army Rangers went in and got Delta Force went in and got them. Everybody
Right,
went their hand in the cookie jar.
Right.
So it was a plan that was too elaborate.
Right.
You had Army pilots flying, Navy helicopters, all kinds of stuff.
Is that why the helicopters crashed or something, right?
Well,
That's the same thing that happened during that time, right?
yeah, we had flew out from the Mediterranean through the valley, under the radar, and we landed like 75 miles out in the desert from Tehran, Iran. So the plan was to land out there, put these we had little helicopters nobody knew about.
Little bitty ones?
Yeah.
Like,
We call them little birds.
Wow.
But you can see all of this stuff on TV now.
Right. But back then, that wasn't, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, nobody knew about them. And we pull them out, and they had little pods that we, like the pilot would sit here, and there was a pod over here and a pod. So you can carry 3 people over there and 3 on this side, and the pilot flying this little.
But the helicopter's here, you're like a T.
Yeah.
Like a T.
No, it's the pilot is sitting here,
Right.
and there's a pod, like a bench that just folds down.
Okay.
So you're sitting.
So you're all right.
So yeah, you're on the bench, and you got a rope that's going from you past you to this other guy.
amusement park.
Yeah, just like that's it. And this helicopter's going about 150 miles an hour.
Whoa.
So what you do is you put the youngest person up front, and he get hit with all the bullets.
And you get beside him.
And you get behind him.
I love it. That's great.
And so when we landed out in the desert, and we was trying to move the helicopters and everything out of the way, and then it's pitch dark out there, and one of the airplanes went into a helicopter, and it blew up.
One of the little helicopters.
No, one of the big helicopter,
one. Wow.
and it blew up. And so all of the Rangers.
Abort mission.
Yeah.
Abort mission.
That's exactly what they did.
Really?
Yeah, because we still had enough equipment to go do the mission,
Right.
but they call it, and you have a Navy admiral that's in charge of the whole thing. He don't understand what Rangers do, what Delta Force do. They didn't understand what we do.
Right.
And so we still ready to go do the mission.
Right.
And they like, no, abort the mission. Okay, well, let's get the bodies out. No, we got to go. And we left the bodies there, and we get back. You see them dragging those bodies through the streets of Tehran, burnt bodies of Americans.
Wow. And that was under
Jimmy Carter. And then he lost the election.
Ronald Reagan.
And Ronald Reagan swore in on January the 20th.
And the next day they were back.
And they let him out that day he swore in, because
They knew it was coming, brother.
they knew what was coming.
They knew that should be a lesson to everybody.
And so, and then after that, I went on the mission in Grenada. I was the 5th person to parachute in on the island. The lowest jump in military history. We jumped at 500 feet.
Really?
Mhm.
So is it like in pull or the 3 count or
And
what?
it pulls from the inside of the air.
Oh, so as soon as you go out
Static
there,
climb.
right?
Yeah.
So you just go
Yeah.
like that.
So that was the lowest jump anybody ever did.
Is there a plus side to that?
Well,
lowest jump?
here's the problem. Okay, we're gonna jump onto a runway. They was building a runway. And so we're flying right over the ocean about 50 feet. The pilot pulled up to 500 feet, bullets start hitting the plane.
And y'all are getting out of that damn thing.
So I'm the 5th person, and a bullet come through where the 3rd guy is and went through the ceiling, blew a hole in it about that big.
Just, 3 feet from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the plane was rocking, and so I'm on the first airplane.
Right.
And only thing I'm thinking of, if they hit the wing and all that fuel in there and we blow up, my parents, this is their first question. So he died in a plane crash.
With a parachute.
And a parachute on. They're gonna say, why didn't he jump?
So you're done. I'm a couple stupid.
So I'm praying that, Lord, just let me get out of this plane. Let me get out. So when that light changed and we went out and the parachute opened, but mine was twisted because I'm carrying 105 pounds of equipment.
Wow. On you.
On me. I had my weapon here, my rucksack, my food, ammunition, my back. I had parachute, reserve. Matter of fact, I took my reserve off because
Too much.
no, because if I jumped at 500 feet, the reserve
They
will
won't
not.
save you anyway.
It wouldn't work under.
Too short a jump.
Yeah, it would, and I have enough time to activate.
Wow.
It'll give you something to play with on the way down, but it ain't gonna save
It'll
you.
work.
It ain't gonna save you. So anyway, when my parachute opened, it was twisted because I fell out of the airplane. I didn't jump. I just got to the door and I was trying in a hurry and I just kind of fell out. And my parachute was
So
open.
it's going like this.
It was open. No, it was open, but it was twisted from here to the parachute. It was open like this, but it was twisted. So you grab it like this and you kick the feet and then unwound.
You learn that as
Oh yeah, they teach you how to do that. But anyway, so when it unwound, there was green and red trace of bullets flying.
Yeah. Are you hearing it? Or just see if you can see
No,
it?
I could see them going by. I could see them.
As you're falling
as I'm falling.
in a parachute.
And so when my parachute, when I get it and I'm done, and these green and red tracers, they're shooting at us.
Yes.
And I'm like any other red-blooded American. I went, good Lord.
They're trying to kill me.
I grabbed
Mommy.
and when I did this, I could see the runway coming. I'm getting ready to land on the asphalt, on the runway.
And so did you bad landing or on yourself? Or?
I lowered my backpack.
You pulled the things?
I pulled my backpack to drop it. And as soon as I dropped it, boom, I hit the ground so hard.
But
I
no
thought
knees, you're okay?
I thought I broke my hip, my knees, everything hurt. I hit that ground like a sack of potatoes.
God darn it.
But the adrenaline is flowing now.
Of course.
Because bullets are hitting around me. Now I can hear them.
Now you hear them.
So I just get up and I run like where I'm at. I landed probably about 20, 30 feet from, they knew we was coming. Okay, this is a runway. They're pumped apart. Dump truck, steamroller, all of this stuff.
So they blocked the runway.
So we couldn't land.
Got it.
And so our job was to clear the runway at this time. So there was an asphalt spreader. You know, when the truck backs up and dumps asphalt and it spread. Yeah. So that machine was about 20, 30 feet from me. I just got up and ran over
that thing.
and I'm pulling
Dragging your parachute.
and my backpack.
Right.
And
150 pounds.
I drag it over there and I get behind this thing. So, okay, here's the picture. I'm sitting here. The ocean is about 100, 200 yards this way. The end of the runway is down here and it's ocean. All I see is ocean. I'm on the middle of the runway. The bad guys are up on the hill. That's shooting down at me, at us on the runway. So they on the hill and I'm behind this asphalt spreader. I'm sitting on my butt. Bullets are hitting the back of this thing.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it was a little louder than that.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh my God, they got a bead on me. So now I'm trying to get out of my parachute. I'm snapping everything and my weapon is strapped to my side here. I get my weapon and I unbridge it. I'm ready. I'm like, okay, y'all want to play rough? I play rough.
Okay.
Say
You're
hello.
a little friend.
No, it didn't go quite like that. So I get my weapon out and I was like, oh my goodness. And I look out and the end of the runway is down here, probably about a quarter of a mile. The other airplanes are turning, leaving. I'm on the first airplane. There's only 34 of us on the ground.
34 guys. Total.
The other airplanes turn and leaving.
So what do you?
That was the loneliest feeling I ever felt in my life.
Now,
So
how far is the next human from you?
there's a couple of guys down this way, some guys laying in the ditch down here,
Okay.
trying to get covered.
Dodge bullets.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh my! And when I saw those planes, I almost started crying. I mean, I just felt like I was just left, and I was like, wait a minute. So I get the antenna for my radio, and I screw the antenna on, and I called the plane. I said, hey, give me a sit rep. What's going on? They said, be advised, we're taking on too much in the aircraft because my plane got shot up. So
Right.
this pilot is telling another pilot, don't try to come in.
Right.
Y'all gonna get shot out of the sky.
Right.
So they're telling us we got to get up here and take out the gun position 1 and 2.
Right. And so
I take off my equipment. I look down and grab a couple of guys. Hey, get down here! And they ran down. So I'm the sergeant. I'm the platoon sergeant.
so you're the leader.
I'm the leader.
Right.
I say, look, guys, we're not going to get any reinforcement till we get up and take out this gun position. They said, okay, Sergeant Ross. I said, listen, drop your rucksacks, get all of the frag ammo you can and the ammo you can carry, and we gotta get up this hill. They said, okay, Sergeant. So we load up. I said, look, the best thing for us to do is just get up, run across the runway and zigzag and get to the other side, and we'll fight up the hill. Okay, Sergeant. I said, okay, you guys ready? Yeah, go. And we just jumped up. So the runway is about 75 yards wide.
Right.
So we're in the middle of the runway. So we got about probably,
Bullets coming.
yeah. So we got probably about 30, 40 yards to run. Just get to the other side of the runway.
Sure.
So we run across the runway and we get down in the ditch. And that's a hill right here. So I said, okay, you guys all right? Yeah. Okay, go down that way. You go down this way a little bit. I said, okay, move out. And before I even got it out of my mouth, this guy just jumped up, started running up the hill. and they shooting at us, and so I did just jump up just to
And
suppress.
then everybody jumps up shooting.
So I'm shooting at them, and they get down, and he moves up. I said, okay, now I'm ready. I wasn't expecting him to jump up
Sure.
that fast.
He broke the ice.
Yeah. I tell this guy to move up. I cover me. I get up. So we fighting all the way up this hill. We get up to this hill, and there's a ZPU force, a 4-gun machine gun that you turn like this. Yeah, and it shoots 4 barrels in air.
Yeah.
So we get up there. We get the best of them now. So they jump off the gun and they run into this little building. So I get a grenade and I throw it, and it hits the side of the building that blow up. It doesn't do like in the movie, a big fireball and all
All
that.
pretty and all that. What's it do?
It just black powder, and it made a bunch of racket.
Right.
It knocked a couple of splinters off the side of the building.
That's all. It blew the whole building.
But we know what grenades do.
Right.
They don't
Yeah,
do like they do
right.
in the movie.
Right, right.
Big fire. No, but it made enough racket that 4 guys come running out. 3 guys come running out this side. This guy over here, he's 19 years old. He mows 3 guys down just like that.
Wow.
2 guys come running out this way. I shoot one. The other guy over here, he's 18. He shoots the guy, and I think he hit him in the hip or something and knocked him down. The guy was trying to get up and limp, and so we was moving up, and he just walked up and just, and I was like, oh my God, I got John Wayne and Audie Murphy
Right here with me.
I'm looking at them like, what y'all want?
We're good.
They had no expression on their face.
18 and 19.
18 and 19 years old, they were just focused on the mission.
How many kills did you have?
6.
6 kills. Was that one of them?
Yes.
Great story.
So we go and we get in the building, we clear the building, we're coming out, we're securing the guns, and we, getting everything situated. And all of a sudden I heard the loudest explosion I've ever heard in my life. I thought it was a nuclear bomb. It hit so hard, it rattled my inside. It was like it knocked everything over here. I'm serious, I had no idea what had happened.
What was it?
Well, once we got up off the ground, because when it hit, all of us hit the ground.
Did it throw you or just knock you down?
It knocked me back,
But you think something's hurt almost.
It jarred everything in here. Wow. It jarred. I mean, it's just like somebody pushed you real hard in the stomach.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground, and I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I looked up, and I could hear it. It's a C-130. It's called an AC-130. It was banking left, and we call them Spectre gunship. It's a gunship. It's a C-130. It's got a big old 105 howitzer sticking out the side, and it goes in the left-hand orbit, and it fires this 105 howitzer.
Which is what?
Like what an army tank shoots.
Right.
It's got an army tank
On the plane.
Boom. And it also has a Vulcan. It shoots like 3,000 rounds a minute.
Wow.
That thing banked and it hit the other gun that was down there and took them out.
Beautiful.
But the thing is, it was probably maybe 100 yards from us, if that. And it was that loud.
And it shook you.
It shook me that hard.
Wow. Oh, you would have thought that it happened right beside you, right? I mean,
It felt like it was. I thought it was a nuclear explosion. It was
crazy.
I don't never ever want to be that close to anything ever again. So anyway, when that happened, we took out those 2 guns. We look out, the rest of the planes start line up, and everybody start jumping.
I love it.
So now they're still shooting at the planes, but it's not those big. Yeah. Now it's with AK-47s.
Yeah.
So everybody was jumping, and they was getting shot at.
But not quite as much.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, y'all clear the runway.
We cleared the runway.
How do you clear a runway with all that heavy equipment?
Well, the United States Army Rangers are very, very.
They find some keys.
No, they sent somebody and they taught us how to straight wire everything.
Dirty Dozen, they do that in that movie, and I wonder if that's so. Y'all underneath the straight wire.
They had somebody, because we had satellite photos that every night they would park all the stuff on the runway. So we knew it was on the runway.
Right.
And they sent these people to us, and they showed us how to straight wire anything.
Now, keep in mind, this is 1979.
No, this was in 83.
Okay, 1983. That's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what technology's done now with guns? And
I know.
40 years. So fantastic story. Wow, that's incredible. So y'all hot wire the stuff.
So this is your brilliant friend here, Ranger Ross.
Yeah.
I go down, jump on this steamroller, and I'm looking for some keys, and I'm like, so I get
I
under
thought you
that.
look for keys first.
So yeah,
Certainly.
yeah. So look under the
Some guys are.
yeah. It didn't have a sub.
Okay.
So this guy, one of my guys, matter of fact, it's in a book. It's a book called Urgent Fury, and he tells the story in there. He said, "Yeah, I ran up and Sergeant Ross asked. I let Sergeant Ross borrow my pig sticker." He was talking about his knife. He called it a pig sticker.
Okay. Good.
And I got it, and I cut the wires, and I twisted them together, and it started up. So now I'm driving a steamroller that's going 1 mile an hour.
Try to get it off the runway.
Get it off the road. It's going.
And you still got to worry about
No.
possibly shooting.
And then I'm like, this is stupid. Somebody gonna shoot me.
Right.
And I'm cringing,
Ready for the bullet.
and I'm waiting. Somebody shoot. So I get it off the runway, undo the wire, jump off, start running up the runway, and there's another steamroller up there. They couldn't get it started. And it wasn't a steamroller. It was a steamroller, but it had tires on it.
Okay.
It had like 6 tires.
Like
on
the big roller thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one I had the big roller thing.
These had
The tires.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I got a steamroller. Come go with me. And I ran down there,
Same thing.
driving it back. I'm like, oh, God,
Again.
it's stupid again. But this time I got a guy on the side. But they up on the hill shooting at us.
Yes, it's not. Yeah.
So we get up there and we hook a cable onto it and we just drag it off the runway.
Nice.
But still, I'm thinking, like,
Any second.
this is
Any
not
second.
smart. This is not smart.
Right.
My mother's name is Mary Frances. I said, but they don't, black people, they shorten everything. Her name is Mary Frances. They call her May Frances.
Mayfair.
I said, man, May Frances would say, you stupid boy. You stupid boy. So we get it off, and then we got to go all the way up to the end of the runway. And we get up to the end of the runway, and that's when we start mixing metal and meat. It's a firefight.
It was on, man.
It was on. It was on. I lost 5 guys.
Did you really? So you five guys, and now it's more than 34 now. There's
Yeah, everybody's coming in. Everybody's,
a couple hundred.
yeah,
Okay.
probably about 400.
Wow, and you lost 5. So did you see them get killed?
Mm-hmm. One of them.
Now, what do you do with that? Do you drag them with you, or they stay there? Or what?
No, we took them with us.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell them that's talk too, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Do people go with you?
Yeah. We don't leave anybody.
How tough was it to not grab the people that hit the helicopter for y'all on that mission that started the mission where the helicopters wrecked and the people were out there? I mean, was there a discussion like, that's our people, man?
Yeah.
Who made that
See,
call?
you have to understand, in every letter in Ranger stands for something.
Right. Okay.
It stands for, it's called the Ranger Creed.
Okay.
The first letter R, it starts this first stanza. It says, recognizing that I volunteered as a ranger, fully knowing the hazards of my chosen profession, I would always endeavor to uphold the prestige, honor, and high esprit de corps of my ranger regiment.
And that's just R.
That just are. Each one of them's got a paragraph like that. And one of them said, never will I leave a fallen comrade to fall in the hands of an enemy. And under no circumstance will I ever embarrass my country. That's part of the Ranger Creed.
Yeah.
So for us to leave somebody, that's
Against your creed.
That's against our creed.
That's powerful.
But you have to follow the chain of command, and somebody said,
Yeah, they
"This is
said,
what we're doing."
like, let's get the bodies out of here. No,
So it's tough when you have that conflicting.
but they wasn't Army Rangers. They was
Right,
like a
right.
Navy admiral.
Right. The wrong people running the wrong crew.
Yeah. And so from then on, we learned that the Rangers would not be under anybody else's command. That's when they started that JSOC, Special Operation Task Force, and all that stuff.
Okay.
Joint Operation Task Force. Yeah. So that's when they started that.
So that wouldn't happen again.
It won't happen again.
Right.
Yeah. Because they don't know our mission. They don't know what
Sure.
we do.
It's the wrong people trying to do the wrong thing.
It's kind of like a booking committee.
Let's see what the next question is.
All right, we'll grab 2 more questions and then we'll call it a night here.
Okay.
But let's see. Let's find some good ones here. All right. What do we have?
So I didn't know you had 6 kills. That's 6 kills. That's
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, brother.
These
Well,
dudes off the chain. Yeah, we
it's-
got some wild stories.
They was all
today.
bad.
Huh?
They were all bad.
Absolutely.
They were shooting at me.
Absolutely.
I was minding my own
Self-defense.
business. I was minding my own business.
Self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, self-defense.
Any stories on Sid Vicious? And this is one we kind of touched on a little bit, but
Yeah, I
You
got
got a Sid
plenty.
story?
Yeah,
Give me a good Sid story.
I told Sid would, when he first got there, he would get into his gimmick, you know, and when he hit you, he would almost kill you.
Kill you. Yeah.
And I told Sid one time, I said, Sid, if you and I ever get in a fight, I will kick your butt. He's like, what are you talking about, Rage? I said, I done took everything you got.
Yes. No way you can hurt me.
I said, Sid,
You just beat me up.
I said, I had easier street fights than working with you.
Yes. It was brutal, man.
And but
So
I
strong.
found out this is what I do. I'll say, Sid, shoot me off, give me a clothesline. Easy, big guy.
Oh, you would hit? Okay.
I talked to him.
Nice.
And
That's
he would
good.
shoot me out.
Easy now, easy.
Yeah, and I'll say,
Easy,
do
brother.
this, Sid. I said, easy, brother.
He said, I got you.
You know, and I'll say, Sid, work your gimmick, and he's like, and then he'll come grab me, and I go, Sid, easy.
Easy, brother.
Because when he grab you,
You know.
I mean, he would
grab you.
Yeah, I'm like, easy, dude. And so they taught me into doing this stupid thing one time. Sid said, well, let's try. I said, Sid, I'm not doing that. And everybody else, Eddie Gilbert, come on, you can do it. So Sid gonna put me on his back, my back against his back, and he's gonna spin me, and I'm gonna lay him up back.
like you're a little guy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And Eddie and everybody, oh, it'd be fun.
You can do it. You can do it. It'd be fun.
And man, if you watch the video, when you get back to back.
You're bridged. Trying to get bridged.
Yeah, I'm on his back,
Right.
but
T.
no, it's just like
Like getting racked, kind of like Lex's rack. Are you like that?
like you get back arm to arm.
Oh, okay.
And he bends over,
Right.
and he'll spin you,
So that's
and
weird.
throw you in the air like this, and you land on your back. I landed on my shoulder.
To this day.
I had shoulder surgery.
See, thanks, Sid. Appreciate it.
How many times did I think you were going to spin? You're not a little guy.
Sid's a big guy, though.
Yes, of course.
But how many times did you spin?
Probably once.
So you got one turn.
I probably got one turn in.
They're hoping for a fight too.
If you look at the video, you go,
That
yeah, I can see what happened to your shoulder.
I'm sure.
Because you have no control when you're spinning in the air like that.
None.
None whatsoever. Sid was so funny though, man. Oh, I got the perfect Sid story. You got it.
Come on.
We was flying somewhere and we've been gone for a week and we were flying back into Atlanta. Sid and I, and then we're in the back of the plane, just he and I, we have a good time.
Right.
So anyway, the plane lands and everybody stand up, try to get off the plane.
Right.
So me and him, we just sit back there and finally they start moving and we get up. And so by this time, the luggage handlers are out there and they taking the bags off the conveyor belt.
You're seeing it.
Throwing it on the cart. So me and we looking at like this. And Sid said, hey, and he started beating on the side of the plane. He said, hey, my roids in there. You break my steroids, I'm gonna kill you. And all of these people walking out the way. I said, Sid, it's okay, man.
So he's mad about steroids getting busted. I love it.
The guy was just taking it off, and he's beating on the side of the plane,
Those bags.
hollering at the baggage handler down there.
Did he got here? Or
No.
did he just keep on going.
Well, he could hear Sid beating on the
Something, but
plane
he can hear what
because
he's
he was saying.
I
No,
love it.
We wasn't anticipating that, I'm sure.
No.
that's a good Sid story there.
Got one here from Feel Good Productions. Hi, Buff, big fan from Australia. Loved your gimmick, entrance, and body of work. Can you tell us your top 5 entrance theme songs of all time?
Wow. Oh man.
We got American Males in there, right?
To me, it is one of the best, man. I mean, it was like one you just. I mean, I told people this before, but if you play the American male music with no words, it was one of the best like music things. It was really cool. It was like ba-ba-da-ba-bow, ba-ba-da-ba-bow. But then it was American Males, America. So it kind of, but still, I love American Males for sure.
Jimmy Hart?
So you had more than one entrance song?
Yes,
How'd you do that?
because I'm buff and I'm the stuff.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to call my agent.
Yeah, you know who you need to talk to?
The booking committee.
Okay, so yeah, so
Was that the Jimmy Hart though?
Jimmy Hart.
He's done what? How many of yours now?
He did the Buff Daddy too. So
Okay.
Jimmy Hart's Buff Daddy, American Males.
I bet he's getting a royalty off of that still. I know he is for Buff Daddy.
I know he is. I know he is for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jimmy did all of the stuff there it was Turner Library. So, but I love Flair's music. You know, of course, it's the best, one of the best. And then I love Hogan's original "Made America." What was it?
The Hulkmaker one, right?
Real American.
Right.
I mean, you know, so that's 4.
Did you get sick of NWO?
No,
that came out for a
I
long
didn't.
time.
I did.
Okay.
Even now, even today,
Sure.
Today,
Yeah.
there's still a car commercial that. Bow, 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 bow.
Sure.
When you heard that, and you got Scott Hall coming out, and
Yeah.
Hogan, and Nash, and you look around and you're part of that. It's incredible. But when you hear that B Team NWO music,
Yeah.
that was rough.
Yeah.
And I got the B Team for a few of my
Sure.
matches, you know, where even me and Norton coming out got the,
Yeah.
you know, the kind of like that. It was like an NWO
Yeah.
B Team.
Well, they had to switch it up because I mean, some of those
Had to.
news you had,
Yeah.
everybody coming out had one
Right.
person that
Absolutely,
was,
but-
especially sold out.
So when it was, I
Sure.
mean, that was Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
It was incredible, incredible.
So we was at the Kill Arena in Kansas City, and I'm standing there, and the Road Warriors getting ready to go out. They're right there at the curtain, and the people start playing the wrong music. They were playing Jimmy Valiant's music. Ooh ah, coo coo chitty, talking about the boy from New York City. And I'm standing there. I said, "All right, guys, y'all go ahead and go." They said, "We ain't going out to that crazy music." I said, "Oh, come on, man." No, and they stood there
Absolutely.
until they played.
until they got a Warrior pop.
That was so funny.
Yes.
All right, so there's a couple people I think that said they wanted a Vicious and Delicious story, and we'll leave it at that for tonight.
Okay. Vicious and Delicious would have been, in my opinion, the best tag team that I ever had because 2 reasons. Because of the name and because of we were NWO tag team. We're NWO tag team and the name alone, man. The name came from, we were in Detroit, Michigan, and we were at a Shoney's Big Boy kind of place, and we're at the counter, and a kid walks up behind us, and I see him looking, and he's got a Sharpie and like a paper to sign, and he's just in awe looking at us, and he goes, "Vicious and Delicious." And we had never heard that before. Scott Norton and Buff Bagwell, and I went, "What did you say?" And he went, "Vicious and Delicious." And I wrote it down, and I said, "That's going to be cool." That was the coolest tag team name, not just of what I've ever done. I think it's the coolest tag team name I've ever heard of.
Wow.
It fit, it worked. The only reason why Vicious and Delicious wasn't World Tag Team Champions, and because we didn't make a big thing happen, is we only had 2 matches. My second match we ever had together, I broke my neck.
Oh,
In the ring. So 10 months, when I came back in 3 months to TV, Scott Norton was in Japan, and they put me with Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, and that worked really good too. And so it was just so for something that was only a couple of months long, people still remember the name, and that's how big of a deal that would have been. But we got home and we airbrushed everything. Vicious on Norton, and mine was Delicious.
Oh,
Everything
wow.
we had, brother. Vicious and Delicious was a really great name for a tag team.
And when you were in Japan, you guys were tagging together too. Right?
Yes, we tagged together over there. But when after I broke my neck, you know, did we come back for anything? No, it was after the neck broke. We never had another Vicious and Delicious match. So we were Vicious and Delicious against Scott, Rick Steiner, and Luger that night that I broke my neck. And there was never another Vicious and Vicious match.
Wow.
So we only had a couple of months of a run together is all.
Yeah.
And it was such a great name that I actually thought me and Norton won the belts. But we never did because we only wrestled a couple times.
It still blows my mind that you and Norton never did, and you and Steiner
And,
did.
and me and Luger never did.
Right.
Totally Buff never won the belt. No, we never did. See, I thought that
Shane
was
Douglas.
it was Shane.
Right.
And that's what always confused me because that was at the same time, kind of.
Yeah.
That was the new blood thing, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
So let me ask you this. If you can do it over again, what would you change?
I hate regret. That's a great question. And so I have zero regret with WCW.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did nothing wrong. I felt like I did it right. When the WWF bought us, I was really bad on pills and alcohol, but the mistake I made is I waited, like most addiction will do to you. I waited to get in trouble. Hey,
Yeah.
how can you possibly fire Buff Bagwell without a? And the reason you can is because booking committee. And they got the booking committee together, and I raised my hand in the meeting, and they released me, they called it. And so I would have taken Vince buying the company more serious. I would have, even though I thought I was trying to get a handle of it, maybe cutting my alcohol down and, still being sober when I had to be, I would have taken that much more seriously. I wasn't cocky about anything. I was really bad addicted to pills and alcohol at the time and didn't handle the transition well. I would have done the transition much, much better and would have handled it differently.
Yeah.
What about you?
Like I said, I would have protected the brand.
Particular brand.
I would have protected the brand, and
That would have been hard for you and me. We're not those kind of guys.
No,
So it's hard to defend something like that when you're such a team player. You put your life on the line for the United States of America. You're a team player, bro.
that's what I thought that we were supposed to be. But I found that most of the guys that complain and moan all the time, those was the one that they took care
The
of.
squeaky wheel got oiled. That's what I saw happening.
And
so it makes you want to kind of complain too.
Yeah, because the guys that were complaining and whining all the
They were
time,
winning.
they took care of this. And I'm like, I wasn't that kind of guy.
Right, I know. I mean, and it would have been hard for you, and it would have been hard for me too, because I'm just not that kind of person. I'm a team player, but when you're in it and you see everybody complaining, you speak up a lot more than you do, and then it gets heat, But you got to be in there, and you got to know a balance. A balance is a great word for everything, but the balance of when to speak up and when not. But you definitely know you didn't speak up enough for your brand.
Well, the thing is that I always looked at wrestling and our crew as a team.
And life,
life
as a team.
And you look at other sports. He was my teammate. But in wrestling, I was watching some of these videos. I never knew all these people had so much heat with each other.
Yes.
And they used to go around talking about, well, he's the baddest guy. He's the tough guy. How can he be that tough? This is a business where I give you my body.
Right.
We
work together. Who's tough?
That's like saying John Wayne, man, he was tough.
He killed a lot of people.
Well, he was the star, and everybody put him over.
Right. You have to. You put the star over.
Yeah. So
but
the people, I look now and I watch these YouTube things.
yes.
I didn't realize it was so many people didn't like each other, had heat with this guy, couldn't stand this guy, couldn't stand that guy. I had no heat with nobody.
No, but I've never heard your name mentioned negatively in 34 years.
I didn't have any heat with nobody because, they said the booking committee say, you're going to do this, okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and it feels right at the time because you're being a team player, but ultimately we see that it's not the best.
Sometimes no good deed goes unpunished.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, you ran into that when you forego your contract with WCW,
Yes.
went over to Vince.
Right. So I think you may not know this. So, no, same thing. Trying to do the right thing, being a team player. Heat coming from WCW. 80% of it wasn't true, but it doesn't matter in this business. Heat was coming.
Yeah.
But Bagwell was coming with heat to WWF. I present to my agent, what if I just don't collect the last 60 or 80 grand that Vince owes me, and I just sign on with him? He went, that's the best idea I've ever heard. I think he goes, that Mark, that's perfect. He calls him, sets it up. So Vince McMahon saves $80,000 to sign me to a 175, 225, 2-year deal. And I'm fired in a month. So again, being a team player didn't work out, but it looked like a great move. Even my agent thought it was a good move, but it didn't work out. So, no good deed goes,
Wow. That is.
It is
crazy, right?
You let $60,000 to $80,000 go to make $13,000.
Right, exactly. That's the total I made. We added up on our channel. The WWF,
Wow.
I made $3.1 million at WCW was the grand total, and the grand total at the WWF was $13,365.38. Is that right?
Something
pretty
like
close.
that. You're close.
Pretty close.
You're within it. Yeah.
I tried to go to WWF. When my contract ended with WCW, I drove up to Connecticut,
Titan Towers.
Titan, and I go in. Guess who comes out and meet me? J.J. Dillon.
Same guy at WCW.
Same
So you're thinking, here we go. You're thinking, all right. And
I said, we didn't know each other that well. We didn't know each other because he had left WCW
Sure.
by the time I got there.
Mhm.
And I gave him a tape of a VHS tape of me, some matches and stuff like that. And I called him back, and he said, "Yeah, I saw, you're working with this guy and that guy. Yeah, I know this guy and that guy, but right now we just don't have anything."
that's what they say, right? I ain't got nothing for you right now.
But one thing before we go, most ironic thing, the guy that I had my first match with,
Mhm.
Ted Allen, I had my last match with him.
Did you really? Wow.
20 years later. Wow.
Kind of a familiar story. Scott Hudson was the announcer on my very first match ever on TV, and Scott Hudson was my announcer on my very last match on TV ever. Scott Hudson. Yeah.
See that?
Yes.
Isn't that
Thank you so
ironic?
much.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Well, man, I love you more.
Oh, thank you.
It was a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege.
I love you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We will. We're actually filming tomorrow at the Cobb County Civic Center.
Yes,
Lex
very
Jr.
big day tomorrow.
So we're gonna get our rest and we're gonna hit that. But we'll be back next week. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios.